Sponsored by 666bet.com.
This is Coogan Cassius for IFL TV in association with Macklin's Gym Bar in Dublin here for the return of the Mac card. We've got the lightweight Eddie Hearn. Well, it's been a bit of a funny old night, yeah.
Like, just mad, just drama. Obviously gutted for Matthew. Spike versus Fitz was just mental, wasn't it? Yeah, just what can I say? Disappointing, obviously, that, you know, with the main event, great fight. And I knew going into it, I said, this is a proper fight of Highland. You know, he's a good kid, and you know, Matthew just didn't have it in the legs tonight.
Let's start with Fitz and Spike. I think everyone was expecting an all-out war and a big start from O'Sullivan. And
yeah, it was just, you know, like sometimes when you haven't experienced 6,000 people and just the buzz and the hype, you go out and the game plan just goes to pot, and that's basically what happened. And he just, you know, 75 seconds, and they were just trading leather from the bell. I was gutted it didn't go 5, 6, 7 rounds, because it would have been a great fight. But it was a hell of a knockout. I mean, brutal. And listen, Fitz, he's so brave. He was up trying his best to get up, and he's got a good chin, you know. And it was all over. So come on over here so we can sit down. Getting old, Coop.
I know, it's alright. Cowie Fire, solid 12 rounds. Probably a little bit disappointed he didn't get the stoppage win, but that guy in there, Bricenno, was tough.
I mean, to be honest, I couldn't be more pleased with the FI, the fight, the opponent. You know, and I know it probably got a bit boring for people after like 9 or 10 rounds, but he needs those kind of fights, because at super flyweight, after people like Bricenno, who's challenged for world titles, I think when 11 or 12 with Santa Cruz, you're sort of up to the real good kids, and he needs those kind of fights in the bank to be able to take on the really good kids. So, you know, we can step him up now. It was a great fight for him. I don't want to say a learning fight, because I think it was a bit better than a learning fight. You know, Bricenno had a go, but, you know, Cal hurt him a lot. But he's tough as granite, wasn't he?
I think he took Santa Cruz 11 rounds, didn't
he? Yeah, it was much bigger. You
know. Matthew Macklin, obviously this was labelled as a make or break fight for Matthew, and you know, you've said all along this is a hard test. People
100%. I felt like it was a 50-50. I said, I think in paper today, 60-40 for Macklin. But the thing is Matthew Macklin's been around at top level for a long, long time. He doesn't want to be fighting for British titles and European titles. You know, he wanted another shot at the world title. So you have to beat people like Highland, you know, if you want to stake your claim to fight for a world title. And he knows that a prime Matthew Macklin would have been too strong, too relentless for Highland. But unfortunately, he's no longer a prime Matthew Macklin, and you know, he's still a great fighter. His heart will never desert him. But perhaps he hasn't quite got it anymore. You know, he's been in a lot of tough fights, and it was gutting because obviously the crowd was magnificent. You know, we sold out here tonight, and atmosphere was great. And it's sad to see him, especially get stopped as well. You know. 4 rounds, I think it was all square. 8 rounds, he was 2 rounds down. Open scoring. Which was the first time I've been involved with that before. And just to clear that up, because people were tweeting me going, "What on earth is going on here?" The WBC, when it works with commissions, i.e. the local British Boxing Board of Control or tonight Boxing Union of Ireland, they ask if they can adopt open scoring, which is scoring after the 4th and 8th round. In the British Boxing Board of Control do not allow open scoring. The Boxing Union of Ireland, which was the jurisdiction here, does. So that's why we had open scoring. I'm always against it, but I didn't mind it tonight. It's quite good to know where you're at. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. But I'm not sure if that's right or wrong. Sometimes it takes a little bit of the mystique away. Do you know what I mean?
Not really sure what to make of it. What do you think Matthew Macklin should do, and what do you think he will do?
I think he'll take a long, hard look at himself, and I think he'll have a little break. But my gut feeling is he'll probably call it a day, because when you've operated at the level he's operated at, you can't just all of a sudden, you know, say, "Oh, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go and fight, you know, for the European title. He's just, you know, he's done great out of the sport. You know, my gut feeling is that he'll call it a day, but again, it's too early to say, and I don't really like talking about it because I feel uncomfortable, you know, like when Ed Robinson was asking me, what should he, like, it's not for me to say. You know, I just said to him then, listen, you know that in your prime you beat this kid. And he said, I know. He's bright, and he just said to me in there, just didn't have it, didn't have the engine. And it's difficult, it's always difficult to walk away, especially from a sport like boxing, but he's involved, you know, he's got his gym in Marbella, he's got his manager's licence, so he's always going to be involved in the sport, but you've got to really be a special kind of character to succeed in this sport. You've got to be so driven, and you've got to have so much desire and so much want that after a while, when you become comfortable and a little bit older, do you have the want and the desire of a kid who's like Highland, you know, who came here, would just refused to back down, you know, and he was very impressive. It's difficult.
But I mean, looking over Matthew's career, the thing that springs to mind.
That's what I said on Sky. I said, look, what an absolute ambassador for the sport. You know, I mean, he's been in some unbelievable fights.
But the willingness not to shy away from a challenge, you know, he's been in with the best middleweights.
But he's bright, Coog. He's not like, yeah, I'm still good. You know, he knows. Listen, he's still a great fighter, but he's just not probably as good as he was.
Was there a little bit of evidence in the fight in Germany?
Maybe, but then again, you've got the rust argument. You know, he hadn't boxed for a year.
Yeah. Cool.
He didn't look great in that fight, but he looked good. You know, I thought he looked all right tonight at the start. I was, you know, even after 4, I was okay with it. And then just as the fight kicked on, and I said in one of our interviews, I think yesterday or 2 days, Highland had the youth. Highland had, you know, the activeness. He was boxing a lot. He had the desire. So it was always going to be difficult. And, you know, I said, I think in the Boxing Asylum podcast, I said, these bookies, like some of the odds, and it's the same for Periban against De Gout, it's the same for Callum Smith against Serge Locker. These are quality fighters. It's not just like they cannot lose. They can lose these fights. Highland was 7-1 to win that fight.
These bookies, are their odds based on records? Because you can't say that like, people who make these odds.
I don't believe that the people who make most of the odds know what they're talking about. Everyone I spoke to in boxing thought this was a very losable fight for Matthew Macklin if he wasn't what he was. And the last fight showed us that he might not be, or it might be rough. So I just don't understand how he can be 20-1 on with some bookies. I mean, like Yafai was never going to lose to Brasino unless he walked onto one. Do you know what I mean? But Macklin Highland was always going to be a tough fight. But he needed that fight to show where he's at.
A little bit of a silver lining was not the performance by Anthony Crolla, because it turned out to be routine. It's
been a horrible day, mate.
But you announced the world title fight on the 23rd of January next year.
We agreed the world title fight right at the end of the week, and I didn't really want Crolla to fight tonight. He had 60 or 70 people flew over, and we decided to go ahead. And then today, Joe Gallagher started having second thoughts, and like literally at 3 or 4 o'clock, we were like, "What if we, what if you get cut? What, you know?" And that kid actually started off as a journeyman, and then he won, I think, the European title. Then he just went 12 with Marsili, who's a really good fighter for the European. So he's quite awkward, and I just was fingers crossed for the whole fight. And you know, I'm so pleased to bring Richard Abril, the world champion, over to Manchester on the 23rd of January.
How difficult was it?
Fucking very difficult. I mean, I've been doing it. I've been working on it for probably a year. You know, I had an agreement at the IBF convention. People remember I tweeted after that saying, "Made a great fight at the IBF convention." We had an agreement on the fight, and we got gazumped by the Finns. They come on last minute and offered a little bit more money, and they decided to go. And I told them after that, "You let me down there. You owe me." And I had to pay a lot of money, but Anthony has done everything that I've asked of him. You know, he beat Gavin Rees when I had Gavin. Then we signed him. Then he beat Stephen Foster Jr. at late notice. Then he beat John Murray in a great fight. I believe he deserves his world title shot, and now he's going to get it, and he's going to get it You know, people talk about home advantage, you know, and it makes me laugh because the people that talk about home advantage get home advantage for poxy little fights. Actually that's wrong, not poxy little fights, but some poxy little fights, but also for fights where you have no excuse but to get home advantage. You know, I mean, Josh Warrington fought for the vacant European title against David Yelly. Of course I'm going to pay up to get it over here. I mean, it's just, that's our job. World titles are a little bit different, and when you break down home advantage, the last time a champion came to Britain was Mikhail Kessler. The last time a champion came to defend against a challenger without a belt was Lucien Boutte. So the last 3 champions that have come to Britain, I've promoted all the fights. So it's very difficult. And I've coughed up, but I think Crolla deserves it, and I think the show will do very well. So it's not just like, Anthony's a lovely bloke, let's put my hand in my pocket. It's, I think the dynamics and the financials stack up to do it.
January 23rd, phones for your arena. Who else are you looking to put on the bill?
I think Brian Rose will be on. I think Bradley Saunders will be on. Possibly Luke Campbell. Just really...
Not Quigg?
No, not Quigg, no. Quigg's, you know, this is his 2nd fight in quick succession, and we're looking at March for Quigg. But I'm excited. Listen, Abril's a quality fighter. Watch him, he's a really good fighter.
Seen him?
Yeah, right. But I just think with home advantage and adding pressure, Crolla's got a real tough task, But it's going to be great. A world title in Manchester, and he deserves it. He's such a nice kid, you know.
He's not like that many fights, is he, Abril? I think there's about 22 or 23 fights.
No one likes to fight him because he's very good.
Yeah.
And he doesn't actually, you know, he's Cuban, right? Lives in Miami. Has no broadcaster. So he travels. He just went to Finland, you know, against Edis Tati, won that. Watched the fight the other night. And now he travels to the UK, come for a press conference, not next week, week after. And it's going to be a great atmosphere.
Okay. Alright, Dublin's out the way now. On to Liverpool, which starts Monday. Cleverly workout, Tuesday belly workout, undercard press conference Wednesday, final press conference Thursday, Friday Wayne, Saturday it's on.
Yeah, can't wait. I mean, you know, it's been a long time coming. Bad reaction, now good reaction. Now everyone's excited about the show, and as the fight builds up this week, people are going to get more and more excited. It's a great fight, and there's a lot of great fights on the card, you know, and a lot of great fighters, quality.
And the card is done now.
Yeah, it's done. Yeah, we spoke. I think a little bit, bro. I was going to add Audley Harrison, but he had a niggle and then he got a flu, and I just said, look, let's, you know, it's going to be a 6-rounder.
The dream is over.
The dream is over.
Really wanted Audley on this. I know. Anyway, on to Liverpool next week. So yeah, let the games begin. But disappointing night here for Matthew, but.
Yeah, good night though. I mean, it was,
you know, atmosphere
as a neutral, although we're not neutrals, it was a great atmosphere. There was some real drama, you know. But of course,
what, the stall flying in?
Yeah, I mean that was interesting, different. But even Garrity against John Joe there at the end,
yeah,
great fight, you know. John Joe Nevin's opponent weren't up so much, but he's very good. Gave the matchmaker a little bit of kick up the bum for that one. Wasn't really involved in that one. But.
So his 3rd fight, right?
Yeah, but the problem is with Jack Heath, he looks like he's about 12, and obviously he's not. But when he gets beat, he looks like, you know, he's about 12.
What does this do for you coming back to Dublin to promote?
It's not great, obviously, but you know, you've got Andy Lee fighting for a world title. I think the future for Irish boxing, you know, we sold out tonight, 6,000. So it's worked. But unfortunately, the guy who was leading the charge got beat. So it's not ideal, but I'm sure there's a future for Irish boxing, whether it's us or someone else. We've got some good kids. You know, that Luke Keeler really impressed me tonight. Spike O'Sullivan was obviously very good. John Joe Nevin, you know. I'm sure they'd like Joshua to come back here as well, so I'm sure we'll have a show back here next year.
Hope so. Eddie Hearn, unless you've got anything to add?
No. Let's go back to bed. Early flight tomorrow. Not you and me, obviously. Early flight tomorrow, and then Roll on Liverpool, baby.
Wales, actually.
Yeah, when you joining us all week.
I'm going to be with you every step of the way.
Can't wait.
Bailey Cleverly. The next best coverage for Sky Sports.
Where's your money?
Will be here. Seriously, I think if I had to put my hand on my heart, I would go with
The Big Fight, sponsored by 666bet.com.